All right. You're listening to the Shuttlecock podcast. My name is Aaron Rhodes. We're sponsored by the Vinyl Underground at 7th Heaven, located at 76th and Troost in Kansas City, Missouri, offering new and used vinyl. This week on the show, we have Jake Streiff. What's up?
How's it going, Aaron?
It's going pretty good. How you doing?
I'm good.
Awesome.
I'm good.
So, what kind of music were you into growing up and everything?
Let's see. Growing up, from the earliest was probably just like the oldies, like the oldie station,
Oh yeah.
like
That's just what like your parents were playing?
yeah, yeah, like Billy Joel and Bob Dylan and stuff, right? Then like I got into like some people at church, I guess, because I used to go to church pretty regularly, and they like listen to like metal. So some of them were even in like bands, and I think I went to like some shows with like Yahweh and like The Refuge, these places down in like Olathe. But I don't know. All in all, I was into a lot of different music growing up.
So was that like Christian metal core or like some of that type
something
stuff?
like that, like the Christ core kind of stuff, but which was fun, like Under Oath and like As I Lay Dying and I guess stuff like that. So,
and how long would you say that like you were kind of like hanging around like that kind of scene?
for a good minute, actually. Like Coronado, Left for Dead was a pretty big influence, and there was like CD Trade Post, like doing shows like really close to my house, and so there was just like I don't know. There's a lot of community members that were really into it. I went to like Cornerstone Festival, which is like this, like I think it was in Iowa or Illinois, Bushnell. And 2010, so like all these like Christian metal bands, like that's what it was like advertised.
And you were still like an early teenager at that point?
Yeah, let's see. I was probably like, I was definitely, let's see, man, was I even in high school? This was probably middle school still.
And did you just like go up there with a bunch of friends and like your parents were like, okay, yeah, go ahead, it's Christian, or
No, like
how did that work?
It was like a youth group.
Oh, yeah.
Like I went to like a youth group with some kids, and they like wanted to do it, so they had like a fundraiser like for the youth group to all go.
Nice.
So yeah, and so my parents approved, I guess, because it was like, oh, it was a church thing.
Yeah, it's convenient.
Yeah, it was convenient.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
So no, but yeah, and like I'm sure they had a lot more material before it that may not have been quite as like close to my taste, but like I have listened to like the last Coronado EP, and like there's some solid stuff on there, and like they got Sean from Coalesce to be on one of those songs, and like see that's still like pretty chill for like a suburban like band that started off like, well, and I don't know how like Christian they were when they ended or whatever, but
right.
But yeah, I think for coming from that background, that was like a relatively cool band for that time period.
Yeah. I think, I mean, I thought, like doing something with Coalesce was like really tight. They were definitely one of my favorites in the area. There's like, I think there's some others. I don't know if they did anything like, but I definitely overheard that they probably could have been signed. I don't know if they just decided not to. I don't really know any of that jazz, but it was a good band. Yeah,
and I think one of the members actually did go to Olathe East, where I was at, but that was probably like a little before my time too.
Yeah.
But yeah. So what was your like next steps after like kind of exploring that scene for a while?
So I was pretty into Christ core, I guess, and like the Chariot was like a big influence specifically. So like I was kind of like diving into more like, I guess that's called like mathcore, right? But I somehow found like Scrams and was just listening to that on my own time, like I Hate Myself and like Page 99 and stuff like that. And I didn't really know what it was at the time. I think I like saw like Greg Smith, who goes to shows a lot. He like showed me some stuff in high school. I remember because I was like listening to like dumb bands, and he was like, "Oh, here's this whole website that makes fun of like your scene, and it's called Your Scene Sucks."
Yeah.
And it was really funny. But so I found some bands through that too, and I just like did a lot of exploring, I guess. But eventually, I guess Noah Hayes like invited me to some like DIY shows, which he understood that I like knew like more emo stuff. So I went to like diving, which was my first like DIY show at Art Closet. And that was really cool because I had no idea there was like this kind of like, I mean, I had been to like local DIY shows before, but it was just Olathe, and it was like the like churches, and it was very like strict. And, yeah. So this was just like, I don't know, it was just a whole new experience already. But then he like showed me some stuff like punk and like hardcore, like more or less on this like list, because he like saw me listening to like Asking Alexandria or something, and it was like, "You suck." And I was like, "You suck," and then he's like, "You should listen to these bands." So I'm like, "All right, fine, I'll give it a chance." And there was actually some really fucking cool bands on that. I didn't really get the whole like lo-fi thing at the time, but then like I went to like a Bad House show on July 4th. I think it was Dirty Work release of the one with the baby.
Yeah.
And it was like Newt Colt, Dirty Work, No Master maybe. It was just all these locals, and it was awesome. Like there was fireworks in the basement, and there was like Trey like threw a bunch of water on me at the end. Oh, Shapeshifter was still a thing at that time. I think they were playing that too, and it was like.
And didn't like they like throw a bunch of fireworks in a fridge at that show too, or like some like dead fridge, or like some other like goofy stuff happened there?
I don't know if I saw that, if that happened.
Yeah,
but that's very, very plausible.
No, yeah, I think a lot of stories came out of that show. I don't think I was in town for that one, but yeah,
that was the first like punk show I was at.
Yeah,
and it was a blast. I was hooked like off the bat because like the energy. It was just like. I've never seen a show like that. So
no, and you mentioned that like Noah's kind of like poking fun at all the bands you're listening to, and like as like kind of disheartening as that can be, like as a high schooler, like I think that is like one of the perks of like that time. Like you can just like talk all the shit on like your friends' favorite bands and show them the stuff you think's cool, and they can do it back to you. And like I don't know, as like mean-spirited as that stuff can be sometimes, I think it is often for the best. So
yeah, no, I'm thankful for it. I mean, I found a lot better music in my opinion, or at least more authentic things with that. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
But you did mention the Chariot though, and like that's another band kind of like Coronado. I'm like, okay, they're Christian, but this is still kind of cool.
Oh yeah,
like I saw them at Warped Tour one time, and that was like right before they broke up. I think, and that was fun.
That's interesting.
Did you end up seeing
that
them?
Show
Yeah.
Actually? I saw that band like 6 times. Like they're like my favorite band. I still fuck with that band, honestly. That was why like seeing the punk show was like, this is what I needed, because like with their shows too, that high energy, like it was just like their performance was like, you know, throwing guitars in the air. And like I saw them at Cornerstone that year, which is what I like 2010, which was what I really got into it, because they were like burning, or no, they weren't, that was a different show, but they were like, they like put out the bass drum like into the crowd, and they were just like crowd surfing, and like they shaved the dude that like is from here, like he's a KC like resident. He used to play in the band for a minute, like before they like broke up, but they shaved his beard on stage, and it was just wild. But yeah, that band was really good.
Yeah, so. And I guess that's not a bad foundation for getting into punk and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I think it was good. I still like it. It's still hard hitting, like heavy shit. So
Yeah.
kind of wild, thrashy, right?
Yeah. And so yeah, after going to shows for like, I mean, it probably like I don't think you really were in a band really until like a few years of going to shows, right? Like,
Oh yeah, no, I wasn't. Yeah, like I guess really, A.D.D was the first band that actually like did something. 'Cause like I'd jam with a lot of people, but it just never like took off. And so yeah, that's like 2017, pretty sure. Well, a little bit before that, I guess, we started. But yep,
were you excited?
I've been going to shows since like I was 18. So
No, yeah. So were you excited to just finally be in a band at that point and be doing that type of thing?
yeah, it was fun. I was happy to finally contribute because watching all those old heads doing stuff was really inspiring. So I definitely wanted to for a long time, but I don't know. I was on a hiatus for a while and like just didn't really like, I don't know, just didn't get the opportunity to. So it was cool to like finally do something.
I hope no one takes offense to you calling them old heads in this. Are you referring to like all the like 2012 bands?
I guess so.
that might be a little scary for them.
Oh really? They're not old. They're not even old. They're like what? Like they're like 24, 26 or something.
Yeah,
right?
something like that.
I'm just saying old heads because I've been doing it a long time.
No, yeah.
Excuse me.
Veterans.
Yes,
yeah.
veterans.
Sorry.
Thanks for calling me out, Aaron.
No, I shouldn't have. But yeah. Are you upset? Like, are you just kind of bummed out that band just recently came to an end, or are you just ready to do more stuff? Or
I'm definitely not bummed out about that band being over with.
No,
it was a really good like first band to like do stuff with, and I was like, love all those guys, but it was just time to close it off. It was a little bit frustrating at times, so it was good to like just kind of like bury the hatchet. Like we had a good thing while it lasted, and yeah, I'm just ready to do other things. So I think everybody's in that boat with that.
And I think the next band that you jumped in after Anti-Seed was Nitecrawlers, and you were playing drums there.
Yep.
Yeah, and how long have you been playing drums? Like, didn't you like kind of pick it up like not too long before that band started?
Well, I like someone gave me their old drum set because they were like, "You look like you could play drums," which I really appreciated because he taught me a couple things on it, and the basics, and I'd had the set for a long time, but I moved a lot, and so it was just at my parents', and so I didn't really play it all the time. But yeah, when I moved back into my parents', I started playing it a lot more before A.D.D. So I kind of knew how to do some things, but I guess I've been playing for a good minute, like 4 years, but off and on, but now more consistently. So. Yeah,
and I feel like I'm guessing I didn't do any math here, but I think you've probably played more shows in Nitecrawlers than like any other band you've done so far.
Yeah, I think so. That's probably right.
Do you have any favorite like shows that you've got to do through that band so far, or?
The Lumpy and the Dumpers show over the summer at the skate park was really fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
The Warm Bodies kickoff tour, it was a blast. Machine Girl was really cool too. We played with Machine Girl at Awful House, and I didn't know who that was, but like seeing it, I was like, oh, this is dope. Like I love seeing stuff live for the first time, and just like, I don't know, it was different. It's like electronic lightning bolt or some shit. It was cool. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of good shows that Nitecrawlers have played. I liked a lot of stuff that we played.
Oh yeah, and like after being a band for like a little over a year now, I think. Like, do you guys have any plans for like tours or like another release or something coming up?
Not to my knowledge. We are going to do something last January, but we haven't really talked about it. So meeting with like a tour. And I guess last January, I mean this January now. But we have new songs that aren't like done. Like they're finished composition musically, I guess. But I don't know either because I think Jack is moving or talking about it. So I don't know what we're doing with that band, but I would like to keep it rolling. It's just kind of like unclear what we're going to do. I think we have some shows, so we'll just see what happens.
Oh yeah, and I think like, and I'm this isn't me just like being like, oh, you need to keep this band going, like, because you can't just force that stuff. But like, I think Nitecrawlers has kind of taken up a sound that all the people who left Kansas City kind of took with them, and like there wasn't anyone playing that kind of creepy like style of like punk like for a little bit, and you guys kind of like took the torch, and so like I don't know, it would be cool to see it keep moving as long as possible.
Yeah, no, I really like playing in that band. It was like, went into it with like, the idea was going to be like a post-punk thing, and it definitely is in a way. But it's really like, it's like, I don't know, it's really fun to play, and yeah. I hope we keep doing stuff with it because it's really fun. It's really fun to play.
And I remember you did put out a solo EP like a year or two ago.
Oh yeah.
And is that something like do you still like kind of mess around and like write songs by yourself, or are you mainly kind of focused on the punk bands you're playing in?
No, yeah, I'm not really right now. I'm focused in the punk and doing like collaborative projects with people or group bands or whatever. But I would like to come back to that at some point. Not that album, but doing some solo stuff, I guess.
Okay, and like it was like acoustic guitar and just vocals, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah, there's a couple like keyboard, or there was a keyboard and a piano.
Okay.
That were used as well.
But yeah, were you drawing like was I feel like the songwriting though was kind of like influenced by like kind of just modern emo stuff to an extent. Is that like kind of what you were into then?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't really know what. Let's see. What was it really influenced by? It's really minimal. It's very like. I like a lot of slowcore, so I think it might have like 90s slowcore, like Slint and like Shipping News and things like that. And I think I wanted to do that, but also do like a teen suicide, like lo-fi, like really like acoustic-y thing, or like, I don't know. There's other like acoustic artists, like Alex G is really good. Like that's like well produced and stuff, but things like that. Yeah. So a little bit sad.
Oh yeah. And that is like another kind of niche that Kansas City doesn't have like a lot of people trying to fill. So I think you'll manage to be successful with whatever like type of stuff you're diving into, because it seems like you do have interest in like a bunch of these kind of subgenres that don't necessarily get a lot of love, and it's probably easy enough to like land opening slots just based on that stuff alone, just because like no one else is doing that in town. So yeah, that's
fair.
My thought on it.
Hopefully other people do it, because I don't feel very well skilled in that department, but I just like seeing other people doing that too. So yes,
I think you'll be there eventually.
Thank you.
But no, yeah, okay. But you're also singing in Liquid Swords right now.
Correct.
How did that band get assembled?
It was Gage's idea. Gage wanted to do some hardcore, more or less like Crime Watch, kind of like, yeah, or like even like, youth crew was really kind of the goal with that band in some way. Like, so I know because like Ethan wanted to do that, so that's how we got a hold of Ethan. Because they like made a Facebook post about I want to do something in a youth crew band, and we like that stuff too. So, I guess Gage hit them up, and then we knew Will just played bass, so we were like, yeah, let's try to get some like new people that aren't doing stuff in the scene currently too. So that was kind of like the mentality behind that. And then we just, I don't know. Like I said, we wanted to do something like it kind of came with the idea of doing something youth crew. It became, what it is now. But, I don't know.
No, yeah, and I think, like you mentioned that, Will wasn't really involved in the scene before, and right. Ethan was more, like, playing in, like, emo bands and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I think that has kind of successfully, like, brought at least a few new people out to the shows, and, like, I think it's been just kind of a net positive for the scene having new people around, so I think that's definitely a plus. But, yeah, what are your like main influences as far as like lyrics and like songwriting go in that band? Like, what do you kind of draw from? It is just like it like the songwriting style kind of is like youth crew to an extent, but like I feel like the imagery and stuff is like a little darker than your average.
Definitely. Yeah, that was actually kind of an identity crisis when we were starting that, because I was like, oh shit, youth crew is pretty like positive in a lot of ways, and I don't know if I have that in me. And so I discussed it with the group about how kind of like what I was writing, and they seemed pretty like supportive of what it was. So I guess my inspiration just kind of comes from like hopefully it brings a light to subjects that aren't positive, but hopefully like will be something people can relate to in a way that they can adjust positively, maybe, hopefully, or take it however they want. I mean, I know it's pretty angry. It's not, but no, I don't know. It comes from a lot of things, so. I guess I don't know.
Oh yeah, and there are like one or two songs that are like pretty overtly like political, like anti-fascist and like that kind of thing. And then there's also just more like kind of like social critique and that type of thing, just like talking about like different behaviors and stuff like that. So it seems to be mostly like a lot of social things that bother me, and then of course the anti-fascist, which is a given. It's very relevant at this time period too. I feel that needs to be said. So I don't know. That's what inspired me. So and I guess we'll. Oh yeah, and yeah. What does Liquid Swords have any like stuff coming up that people should know about? Like, you working on new release or any shows and stuff?
We got some new songs. We've been playing a couple of them, but hopefully Ethan's in New York right now. But when Ethan gets back, hopefully we can practice up on like all of those. Hopefully in April, I'm guessing. I mean, I'm kind of just saying this for the whole band now, but hopefully in April we can get that like new like EP or something, like 5 or 6 tracks we have about recorded again, and then put that out before May or so. And we got some shows in May, and then we plan on touring in the summer sometime.
Awesome.
So
yeah. And I guess this will kind of just flip into part 2 of the interview. We're going to jump into your visual artwork.
Okay.
Flip the record.
Okay. Side
Oh
B.
man, I should throw this podcast on vinyl. That'd be pretty sweet. No,
Yeah.
just start dubbing tapes of my podcast.
Yeah. There you go.
No, nobody wants that.
Nobody?
It's just free.
Yeah.
But yeah. How long have you been like drawing and just been interested in the whole world of comics and illustration?
A long time.
Long time.
I think, yep, a long time. I have liked comics for a long time. I was drawing for a long time. So, like, and I say a long time, meaning, like, I was, like, I've been doing this for, like, I was, like, 3 or 4 or whatever. I've just been, like making, like, when I saw Pokemon, I, like, made whole books. And I had my own thing called Monster Cars. Ooh. And they have nothing to do with cars. They're kind of like monsters. They're kind of like they're kind of monsters. And I made like my own Pokemon.
It's pretty sick.
Yeah. So I've been
still have those laying around somewhere.
Somewhere. Yeah, I think I do actually. Nice. I don't know where they're at, but
yeah. What? So I guess Pokemon and like were you like deep into anime to any extent?
Not really. No, that was like my getaway because I wasn't allowed to watch Pokemon actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I was like making it so I could enjoy it somehow. But no, I guess more of what I was like. My environment was like the Sunday paper and like Calvin and Hobbes and like just like the strips of comics like that. That was what I was exposed to most.
I know Garfield pops up in your drawings sometimes.
Yeah, that's a bit satirical, but I did see some Garfield growing up. I don't really like it that much. Oh. I think it's funny though.
Well, but who doesn't hate Mondays, Jake?
It's funny.
Who doesn't love lasagna? It's relatable.
It's so funny. it's so genius. Like it's just it's perfect for the everyday reader that just needs to sit down and know what they're reading.
Are you saying people are stupid for liking Garfield?
No, I'm like,
just, I just want the same thing. I don't know what I'm getting in my cartoon.
They know what they're getting. They know what they're getting.
No, yeah,
that's totally fine.
I guess you could say that about a lot of stuff. Like I probably just eat the same food all the time, and like I don't know. I like knowing what I'm getting. I guess. I mean, maybe that makes me dumb. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
I know what you mean. I mean,
yeah.
I like.
I guess
you can't.
You can't like a diverse range of like niche stuff in every aspect of your life. I guess so. Yeah. Like some people are like music and art nerds, and some people are food nerds, and I guess there's all sorts of stuff out there.
Yeah. I guess there's
but yeah, what makes Calvin and Hobbes appeal to you so heavily? What draws you to that? That comic is
like it's really well, I read it a lot. It probably has a lot to do with nostalgia because my dad had like a whole book of like Calvin and Hobbes. It was called like Scientific Progress Goes Boink, and I read it, taking dumps all the time, and it was really good. So there's nostalgia to it, but even now it just holds up. Like there's a lot of like philosophy in it, and it's goofy because it's just these kids, right? And the imaginary, it's like a stuffed animal. I think I'm trying to explain this too hard. It's just really good. Bill Watterson is a genius. It looks good, and they're really well written, like for adults and children. Clever.
And there's like a lot of emotion to it too.
Yeah, that's true. Like the last comic, the last like thing. That's the other thing I like about it. Like looking at it now, it's like whenever he was done with it, he just like stopped it. He didn't oversell it. He didn't put like merchandise or anything. It was just the comic.
Didn't make a CGI movie.
No, he didn't do any of that. And it was like, this really sentimental like last like oh, like they're just going on a sled ride, or like, yeah, sometimes they just be like doing their wagon train, and not a wagon train, but they'd go on a wagon, or they'd be like sitting inside like reading comics through a fire. It was like, or like this one, they pass out with water balloons in their hands because they're waiting for Susie to drop it on her, and it's just like, oh, that's sweet.
Yeah,
it's nice.
Yeah. I guess it just can kind of become a comfort at some point too.
Yeah.
So
it was comfortable. It was comfortable to read, and it was I don't know.
But I would say that, like, I've seen some of your work, and it's like it does kind of possess that like kind of like fun and whimsy at certain points, but like there are ones that are like not comfortable at all, and they're very like kind of existential.
Yeah.
So like what kind of influences that side of your work?
Okay, so I'm not really sure where all of it comes from. I've probably just seen a lot of things and then, recycled ideas here and there without even intentionally knowing where it came from. But I know Ren and Stimpy I also really enjoyed as a kid and as an adult, and it was kind of like gross and like just stupid. Like it was I think that kind of comes off a lot, John Kay's work, and even now I think reading John Kay, like the more like adult comics and stuff, it's like, yeah, I could see where I'm like poking fun and like humanity being stupid or anything like that. And then I don't know.
Yeah. It's not like a world that I know really anything about, but I do feel like there is kind of a niche of like kind of alternative like adult comic writing that is kind of like really like kind of focused on like very adult like social situations and like workplace stuff and like kind of that whole side of stuff that like there's no way a kid is going to enjoy that stuff.
Yeah.
And like I don't know how much of that stuff that you kind of end up digging into, but I think that is like kind of a certain element of some of your stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
And it can kind of get like kind of cerebral and like can deal with like real world issues and like mental stuff and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's yeah. And some of this stuff was like I definitely think I do that a lot. And some of this stuff, like I said, I don't know if it like comes from this, but like hearing people describe my work in that way or like relating it to other things that they've read too has like opened my eyes to like more things that I'm like, oh yeah, this is really cool, and like I'm glad people have done this before, because it's just more things to look at and be like, I guess, comfortable writing things like that, because I would read like, I was really discouraged reading like Marvel comics for a long time because it was like, oh, here's all these superhero comics and like there's like a team of people working on it, like a penciler, an editor, and all that jazz, and like even like a whole separate writer. But then I found like the more like independent people again, like that were just like making full books by themselves, and it was like a little bit more abstract. Like Brian Chippendale from Lightning Bolt does comics that are really like scribbly, and also like they're linear stories, but they are very what'd you say, cerebral, I guess. Yeah. And that was a big influence. Things like Daniel Close is kind of a good one, I think. They do a lot of like stream of consciousness is what it feels like. It's like there's a linear story, but it's just like off the dome. Like it's just like, oh, you're just like traveling through whatever he is like immediately thinking. So it's pretty cool.
I guess that's something that you'll like never get from a superhero comic, just because that's such a large production that it kind of ends up stripping like some of those like more personal human elements away from it, I guess.
I feel that way. I mean, I like those comics too, but they're different from what I really like, I guess, or like feel like I can express more freely. I feel like in this metaphorical kind of like independent world I can do whatever, you know? So yeah.
And so yeah, and I think a good like it's been cool seeing you at KC Zine Con like the last couple years.
Yeah, you too.
And because like I don't know, I feel like well there isn't always a huge like comic and illustration presence there. It usually is like kind of info zines and like art and some music zines and stuff, but like I think you kind of brought like a cool Kansas City presence to that. Have you like ended up meeting like a lot of like other comic artists and like just people at those shows that you have a lot in common with?
Yeah. There's a lot of really cool people that go to those. I think you're right. I think there's a little bit less, maybe comics, at least in the Kansas City zine cons from what I've experienced. But, you know, they had some people from out of town too at the last one. And so I kind of met them or followed their work already. And, you know, they were like there, and they were really cool. Thinking of like, they had, I think it was Silver Sprocket, or I don't know. It was a, like the publishing company that had like a bunch of like comics, was there. And then there was, there's a lot of good like people. MS Harkness does cool comics. I met somebody else there that I had never knew. They're from Minneapolis that did other comics, like clown porn kind of comics. But it was cool. I liked it.
And you have traveled to like out of town like zine cons, right?
Yeah. I've only gone to Chicago Zine Con.
Yeah. How's that one? How's that kind of different from Kansas City's?
It seems to be bigger. And I feel like there's a little bit more. I want to say there's more diversity with that, with the content that's being produced, or maybe it's just because I've found a lot more people that I knew or could interact with in the comic world. But there's a lot of really good like either comics or just art zines or like anything going on in Chicago too. They were doing something really cool the first year I went. And it's been a while, but I don't know if it's really that much different than the Kansas City one. I think it's just bigger.
Cool.
I think it's really good though. They both facilitate like a new community of people, and they don't curate. It's just first come, first serve, I think, right? I don't know if that's how KC Zine Con is, right?
Yeah, I think that's kind of how it works.
Okay. So I like that. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's awesome. There's a lot of new people doing stuff, and it's cool to see. Yeah.
And some of your newer work, you have kind of you've been taking like animation classes and working on that kind of stuff also. Like, is that something you've always like kind of wanted to do? And like, because I know you were talking about liking like Ren and Stimpy and stuff. Like, have you always had like as much of a passion for like cartoons and like TV stuff as you have with like print?
Yeah, definitely. I would love to do animations. Yeah, it would be cool. Very cool.
Are you kind of like hoping to like bring like some of your drawn like comic stuff to life, or do you have like a lot of different ideas when it comes to doing like animated stuff? I
think a mix of both. I I would like to do a lot of things. So at least this is kind of all hearsay. Like, it's not like I'm going to do it or not, but I would love to do, kind of like a cartoon or episodic kind of series of like following some characters around that would be similar to my comics, I guess. Not necessarily like literally pulling from a comic I've already produced, but similar to that nature. And I would also like to do like maybe more short film kind of where it's incorporating like both real cinematics and like kind of like effects or like After Effects a lot, and combining that with like animation or also music videos. I would love to do that in a way. So I want to do more film in general, I guess, and I want to keep that pretty broad because I don't know.
Yeah, and I think like for a lot of people at least, like making like film projects and like animated projects and stuff, I feel like it's a little less accessible than like just drawing on a piece of paper is, or like even just going on like Photoshop or Illustrator or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I think it always is kind of an exciting moment when you first get to like jump into a new medium all the way.
Yeah, I think so. It's been really fun. I like being able to do it. And hopefully I keep rolling with that. I think it's really exciting to see like when people do to make that transition too, because there are people that I've followed too that used to just do like illustrations, and then now they do like really wonky like 3D stuff that are like animated but breaking like models, and it's cool. It's cool to see how people do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you announced just the other day that, I guess to jump back to music for a moment, you have launched a small tape distro online.
Yes.
And you're selling your Liquid Swords tapes and some Killicky Cat tapes.
Yes.
Do you have any other plans for the distro right now, or are you just kind of keeping it small, local?
I would like to branch out. I've asked Will Tuckley about like Slusk tapes. And I will ask more people. I'm trying to figure that out a little bit, but I'm kind of keeping it small at the moment because it's a little bit new to me. I mean, I've done this before with Noah Hayes, actually, when we did a little label. But I would
Creep Treat.
Yes, Creep Treat.
Yes.
And so I wanted to do that again. I wanted to duplicate cassettes for sure. But if people like already have tapes and they just want to distribute them, I would love to like open that up to them if they need to sell it online. But I don't really have a lot of plans with that yet.
And the new distro is called Waste Your Potential.
Correct.
Cool.
Waste Your Potential.
And what projects are you working on right now as far as like illustration and comics and everything goes? Like, do you have like a new book you're working on, or like a new comic or anything?
No, actually, I'm not really working on a new thing yet. I am, but it's not. There's not enough for me to say I am. I have a lot of ideas that aren't really like solid enough, or like I haven't got far enough on them. So,
but yeah, and you still do have your web store for all that stuff too, right? Mm-hmm. What do you like kind of still have like in stock right now? Like what's kind of like your most recent work that you've put out there?
My most recent is a comic called Julius, and it was risograph printed by Oddities, and it's like 12 pages, and it's like a wordless comic, and I think it's pretty cool. And there's some other stuff on there. There's a couple other comics. I think I sold out of one of my comics called Static, but there's a couple other comics on there, and yes, that's it. And I plan on printing some more prints out on there. So, and then more comics eventually. But I have prints that are just not on there.
Are your prints like that you have right now, like, because you do a lot of really cool like characters and stuff that you post on Instagram? Like you you posted like that old demon guy the other day, and like you have like a bunch of funny like punk characters and stuff.
Yeah. Like
what kind of prints have you been making? Are they like those guys, or are they kind of scenes, or what are those?
The prints I produced were like fan art, kind of. I guess it was like Adventure Time was one of them. It was like this really gross Jake the dog, and then there was Sexy Garfield.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I was hoping that would appeal to more people, I guess.
Are you into Olivia Gibbs' Sexy Garfields?
Yes. Yeah, I love those.
Those are cool.
Those are good garfs. I love the garfs.
Everyone's got to have a sexy Garfield.
I love the garfs in an ironic way.
Oh man, I hope no one just like pulls this audio. That'll be
They can use it to blackmail you.
man. But no, yeah. What? Excuse me. Have some of this country mist here.
Okay.
But yeah, what kind of happens in Static and Julius? Can you tell me a little more about each of those?
Oh yeah. Well, Static is another wordless comic, and it's kind of like I said with a stream of consciousness. It's like, it's very analogous for how I view the world, I guess, in a perspective. But it dives in a I don't know how to explain it, but it just kind of goes from like imagery to imagery, and it's fluent. Whereas, so that's that one, because I don't want to spoil it, even though I think it's sold out. So I don't know if I have any more, but it's a cynical story. That's what it is. Julius is like, it's kind of like a romantic story, I guess. What I try to do is, with the wordlessness, I'm trying to keep it very like ambiguous and gender neutral, and but I don't know if it comes across as that. I just wanted it to be that way because of or like sexual preferences even, but I don't know if it does that successfully or not. That was my goal, and it's got it's a bittersweet little love story, a like wordless comic. So,
and well, I've kind of realized though that you have like a pretty wide range of like different styles and like characters and like types of stories that you're telling with this stuff. So like, is that part of like, is that kind of an appealing approach for you? Because like, you know, I'm guessing like a lot of people really just dive into like one character or like one like set of characters, and they'll just do that like every single time. Like, are you like enjoying like not having like a central like thing right now, or is that something you kind of hope to do at some point?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I want to have a central character, but I don't know. I guess I'm not focused enough for it, or maybe I'm not connected enough with my characters. I haven't made that connection with one of my characters where I'm like, I really like you enough to keep expanding you and developing you and reusing you for multiple things. I have wanted to, and I've thought about it, and I thought about just doing it like off the dome and just seeing how it goes, because I think maybe you just have to start somewhere. So maybe that's why I'm not centralizing, but I am enjoying just making a lot of just side things, or like not, one character, just like random.
And I guess that is like kind of something like, I'm guessing probably a lot of the more classic characters that everyone loves like kind of just come naturally at some point, and like it might not be something that you want to force yourself to create.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I don't know. So
Who
far,
knows?
that's hopefully what's going to happen, I guess.
But yeah, I think that's most of what I wanted to get to, so I guess we can wrap up here. People can follow at Shuttlecock Mag on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can read the articles and find more content on shuttlecockmusic.com. There's a web store that's shuttlecockmag.bigcartel.com. We have t-shirts, buttons, and the Shuttlecock photo zine. Make sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts and YouTube. And Jake, where can people find your bands and your art on the internet?
I am located on Bandcamp with my bands. Nitecrawlers and Liquid Swords are both on Bandcamp. And Waste Your Potential, a new cassette tape label, is on Store Envy, wasteyourpotential.storeenvy.com. And I also have art on zombknots.storeenvy.com, which is spelled ZOMBKNOTTS. And I have an Instagram, which is also that same lettering with an @ symbol in front. Yes.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you being on the show today, Jake.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I
No problem.
appreciate talking to you.
Hell yeah.